not as your MC, but as a student of Madras Christian College. Sometimes, someone who has walked the same path that you have walked, sat in the same classrooms you have sat in, once again, we request everyone to kindly be seated. Well, we'll start again. A very warm good morning to all our respected guests, beloved professors, and, of course, our dear alumni. Today, I stand here not as your MC, but as a student of Madras Christian College, of the Economics Department, who has trodden the same path that you have trodden, sat in the same classroom that you have sat, and also dreamt under the very tree that has watched you grow. For us, MCC is our present.
But for you, it is a lifetime of memories. We hear your stories in fragments about halls that felt like families, about professors who shaped character more than careers, and about the traditions that define the generations. We still walk past all those halls, Salayur, St. Thomas's, Heber, Martin, Margaret and Barnes, knowing that long before us, lives were being shaped in those exact same walls. We still see the Tambaram railway station every day, perhaps just as a stop in our routine, but for you, we realize that for many of you, it was a beginning of a journey that changed everything for you. That walk to campus, that early mornings in campus, those late evenings in the gutters. They're not just history, they are the legacy that made you. Even now when the monsoon arrives and the gutters overflow, when the campus smells of wet earth and all of these trees around, we are reminded that MCC has not changed. It has only grown richer with your stories in it. The classrooms still echo with your learnings in it. The corridors that you walked once still carry your ambition. And the values you've inherited are the same values that are passed to us.
As students, we may belong to the present, but everything we have today is built on what you created. So on behalf of the students of Madras Christian College and the Department of Economics, it is an honor to welcome you back, not as guests, but as family, returning home today. And yes, because MCC does not forget its own, and today it remembers you with pride.
Now it gives me immense joy and pleasure to welcome you to Economics Reunion 2026, Memories Reloaded, organized by the Department of Economics, Madras Christian College. Today is not just a reunion. It is a celebration of memories, friendship, mentorship, and the enduring bond that connects all of us together.
Madras Christian College is not just a landmark in Tambaram. Rather, it's a venerable institution that has shaped and molded each and every one of us sitting here today in this room, in some way or the other. And as they say, once an MCCN, always an MCCN.
Ladies and gentlemen, to seek the divine blessings for this meaningful gathering, may I invite the prayer cell for the prayer song. I request all to arise.
used to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Heavy trials and temptations, is there trouble anywhere? We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Can we find a friend so faithful, who will all our sorrow share? Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer.
Next, I would like to call upon Reverend John Prasad, the Director, Center for Peace Studies, for the prayer.
As we have gathered together as alumni of the department, I am reminded of a verse. I'll just read that and I'll lead us in prayer. Psalm 133 goes like this. Behold how good and pleasant it is when brothers dwell together in unity. It is like the precious oil on the head, running down on the beard of Aaron, running down on the collar of his robes. It is like dew of Hermon, which falls on the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord has commanded his blessings, life forevermore. Shall we look to God in prayer? Father, we thank you for the blessings that we have inherited in our life. Through many opportunities, occasions, and provisions that you have provided for us. Very especially through the economics department of Madras Christian College. Over the past several decades, very especially, as your children who have gone through this department in the last 30, 40 years are all gathered together here today, cherishing memories of the past, trying to look back at our responsibilities and commitment to you and to the world around us. We thank you, Lord, for this occasion to come together, reflect on what has happened in our lives, what we have become, and what you have contributed to the world. Thank you, Lord, for all your distinguished alumnus of this department who have made a significant impact in our nation in the past several decades, and those who are still budding and venturing into the world with their own expectations and efforts to make a difference to the world around. We thank you, Lord, for this crucial department which plays an important role in our society. I pray, O Lord, that we will always be grateful to you for every occasion that you give us to be a blessing to others. We thank you, Lord, for all those who are gathered here together today. May our reflections, our thoughts, and our memories strengthen our soul to be people who will make difference to the world that is in need. May our reflections today give us courage to face the challenges that are ahead of us. And may the memories from the senior ones encourage and strengthen those who are younger and who will be carrying on the torch, the mantle in the coming days. Thank you for the organizers. Thank you for our principal, our chief guest, and all the alumni who are gathered here and everybody else who have made this day possible. We seek your blessings upon these days meeting together. We seek your blessings upon every alumni's life in the coming days, as long as you give us to live in this world. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Please be seated.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to the prayer cell for such a serene and thoughtful tone for the day. To formally welcome everyone to this reunion, I now call upon Dr. D. Merlin Juliet Arul Thangam, Head of the Department of Economics, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning, everyone seated here. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This verse I would have uttered many, many times, and this song I would have sung many times in my life. But then now I mean it and I say it. I'm so glad and I'm rejoicing because few days back I never thought this day will happen beautifully, but it's happening. It's happening in a very beautiful way, and I'm really, really glad, and I praise the Lord for that. I welcome all of you, each and every one of you present here. I welcome our dear Principal, Dr. Paul Wilson. He has been a very, very big support to me. From the beginning, when I started organizing this, I asked him and I sent a lot of mails, and for every mail, he used to immediately respond, and he gave me absolute support, and I'm really thankful, and I welcome you, sir. And now I welcome Dr. Pulapre Balakrishnan. Again, for chief guest, I tried so many of them, and I called them, I messaged them, and mailed them a lot of people, but then nobody responded positively. When Dr. Pulapre Balakrishnan said he's coming, I was really jumping with joy, and you won't understand how happy I was, because it was a real joy for me that a big economist is coming amidst of us. And he was here those days, and he's back again. I'm really, really happy, and I welcome you, sir, wholeheartedly. And I welcome all the retired teachers who are here and giving me a big support, and I'm so glad to see all of them here again. And I welcome all our present teachers and a big group of alumni, from different years. I'm so, so happy to be a part of this beautiful event. And have a nice time. And my volunteers and organizers and present students, I welcome each and every one of you, and have a wonderful time, and we'll chat and enjoy and share a lot of our memories together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for those inspiring and heartfelt words. Next, we have the privilege of hearing from our esteemed Principal and Secretary, Dr. Paul Wilson, who will deliver the inaugural address. Sir.
A very good morning to everyone who have gathered over here. It's a privilege once again to be a part of a Global Alumni Meet. Recently we conducted a Global Alumni Meet by the Department of Botany, and around 300 participants were there as part of the Alumni Meet, and I thank Dr. Merlin for taking this effort in consolidating the alumni from various parts of the world. I also thank Dr. Balakrishnan for having accepted, and former faculty members who are all here. It's always a privilege to meet with them during the alumni meet. I make it a point to meet with them and greet them, because they were all responsible for building this institution. It is not built in a day. This institution has been built by many, many. And I thank all of them for contributing this institution, and there we are now. I would not take much of your time because we have a lot of other events to happen over here. The main pain point that I see with the alumni is when they graduate from this institution, their memory stops. So they come back to the college with the same memory. Some of you are engaging with me, so you know what is happening around. So you come back to the college with the same memory, thinking that same things would happen here. I hope you understand we are all traveling with time, and things are getting appropriated, things are getting contextualized, things are completely different. The higher education sector now, today, is something different from what you witnessed as a student when you studied over here. This is a kind of a cross point where we are here at the junction, where Gen Zs and Gen X, mostly Gen X, are teachers, and we have seen Gen Zs entering into teaching profession, and Gen Zs are also students now. We have millennials, Gen Zs and Gen X together, creating a lot of conflict and chaos, and we are trying to do grievance redressal, and finally we manage ourselves. And we are also expecting Gen Alpha to enter in view 5 years from now. They are all in school now. So this is a kind of a junction where we try to understand each other and try to redefine, reconfigure the education and try to be resilient with changing times. That's what is happening now. Coming to the college, higher education, hope you know that pandemic was a milestone, I would say. Post-pandemic has completely changed the sector, the higher education sector. And we had to completely reconfigure ourselves in terms of capacity building, in terms of understanding students. Hope you know that the goldfish has the attention span of 9 seconds and our Gen Zs have attention span of 8 seconds. I hope you understand that. So making them to sit in a classroom with a chalk piece, going to the board and teaching them conventionally is a big challenge for the teachers because you will be receiving a lot of chalk pieces on your head from the student side. So in COVID, but for COVID, we wouldn't have moved to the digital platform. Let me begin from COVID because I took over in the year 2020. So COVID made us to move into the digital platform. We also traveled with students. We learned what is Zoom, what is Google Classroom, and we are now able to handle the learning management system in a reasonably good way. And after the COVID, we could see that the 1.5 years of absenteeism among students created a lot of changes, a demographic shift, I would call it as. When they came back, the same students whom we taught in the first year, they were in third year. They were different species altogether. Just 1.5 years of keeping a social animal in isolation, just to virtual mode, made a lot of difference, and we had challenging times in coming to the equilibrium. So it took 1 more year to come to equilibrium. Now almost the COVID batch, so-called COVID batch, has left us. And we have a fresh batch which also came from a COVID infliction from the school, but they are all settled now. So this is a kind of a scenario where we could realize that online learning alone can do many things. I think that particular hypothesis was partly broken down. We understood that personal interaction as teacher, mentoring them is very, very important when it comes to teaching and learning. And basically MCCA had been doing the same thing, but the COVID really made us to realize certain things we realized only in their absence. When the personal interaction was absent, we learned that the online learning can be blended, and now we are trying to have virtual modes and we have physical mode in synchronous, asynchronous and physical modes. So I thank COVID because we started our research colloquium in COVID. We were jobless, literally. During COVID, March 24th, the college was closed. You know that the whole country was closed. And we had to complete the portion. We didn't know whether the end of semester examinations would happen or not. So proactively, we started preparing. We had Zoom for 45 minutes. We didn't know that we can subscribe to Zoom. So every 45 minutes, Zoom will close off and then we have to log into Zoom and we handle the class. And then we subscribed to Zoom and we started handling classes. And examinations happened only in August or September. And the third years went off and admissions started very late. And later we found out that we can come together during this free time. We were with families literally because we were running here and then mechanically. We were with families. We spent a lot of time with families. Families were bound together. Then we had research colloquium. We brought around 12 people together, started discussing, and it expanded to 40. And we have finished around 150 or 130 episodes of faculty. It's a continuous professional development among our faculty. And that resulted in a very good impact among the faculty members in building capacity. You know that in the institution, you can have infrastructure, that's called capacity. Next is competence. So you can have a capacity and competence, but capability is something that we need to build in the institution. So we started from capacity building and then we moved to competence, and now we are also building our capability of the institution so that with changing times, students would not know more than that what we know. No, because of the democratization of knowledge, people are all into learning management systems and they learn a lot of things. And when we see the digital dexterity of the faculty members, we find sometimes lacking, and we need to really pick up that particular aspect. So we are learning. The other thing that we learned was we need to repurpose ourselves within changing times. We found out from 2021 that the conventional disciplines like mathematics, physics, chemistry, botany, zoology, those subjects, conventional disciplines, were not attracting students much. So that was the second challenge that we faced. And though we filled the vacancies here, looking at other colleges where some of the colleges had to close, even city colleges had to close, shift 2 in mathematics because they had only 5 applications. But looking at the way the chemical industries or biological industries or informatics is growing in the world of work, where the workforce requirement is exponentially increasing, how can we afford to miss this out? Like, because students are not showing interest in taking mathematics as major, but they want to take up some mathematics as the allied. So this is a scenario that we were facing. So we are resilient even now, but you know that when the decline happens, it first happens in number of applications. Number of applications that you receive for a particular discipline comes down. The next is the cutoff comes down. In MCC, if you want to get admitted for commerce, you need to have 99.25%. So, which is impossible for an average student because you need to mug up or you need to be brilliant. Only 2 options. And we can see cutoff coming down in certain disciplines that indicated as a metrics for us to know that we are in the vulnerable phase and we need to repurpose ourselves. So now we are making a lot of efforts to completely revive the syllabi and curriculum designing itself we are trying to change. Mathematics, somehow we need to conserve this mathematics and basic sciences because the way we look at AI is developing. Without mathematics, AI cannot be developed. So the fundamentals have to be conserved, so we are making efforts in these lines. We have good admissions in mathematics, complete admissions. Only thing is cutoff has come down marginally, not much. Basic sciences also we have good admissions, but the cutoff has come down. So now we have started improving active learning strategies, a lot of active learning strategies. Students, they prefer to get into the field and learn. I think this is a new observation that I'm making. They don't want to be confined to the classroom. So we do a lot of service learning programs in a very, very scientific way. Take economics or botany or zoology, whatever subject. You go to the field and collect the data, try to understand, try to apply the economics or botany or zoology in various contexts. For example, we normally go to Wayanadu. We work with tribals. So we learned the tribal way of learning things. It is decolonized way of learning things. So we completely incarnated into the community to see culture and science as a subculture. We started teaching them. As an impact, 8 years we worked with them. Now we could see that the tribals are coming here for doing mathematics, MSc mathematics. One girl is joining, she has joined. And students have joined MSW, they've completed, they've gone back to the tribal belt to help the tribals. So this is one thing that we observed as a part of our immersion programs that we do, we encourage. The third thing that we observe is looking at the end user's perspective. Now we all talk about UI, UX design. End user's mindset, looking at the student's perspective, we need to reorganize certain administrative structures. So we had only NSS for the social immersion, and we had NCC for social immersion, and we had Scub Society, only 3. I don't know why we didn't have much clubs and societies. If you look into Stanford or Harvard or any other institution or even Delhi-based institutions, they have a minimum of 60 clubs in an institution. So we found out, it's kind of an inference that we made, that students are not only coming to the college for classroom lectures, they want to learn from the campus life, which MCC does regularly. I was just talking to Dr. Balakrishnan, that MCC is not only doing instruction, but it offers education in a very, very different way, where a social intelligence is built among the students. So we are responsible for that, I would say. If at all, if you ask me, what did you learn from MCC as a teacher, I would say social intelligence. The political agility is not there among students who come from various other colleges. So we have totally 900 days, 900 hours of working. Every semester we are supposed to work for 90 days. 90 days into 5 hours, 450 hours. So per year we work for 900 hours. Our quality assurance cell made a calculation saying that, sir, in an annum we are doing 900 events. That means per hour 1 event. Well and good. You can see all the halls are occupied. All the students are involved in organizing events, learning leadership. So this is how we see things happening. I'm just giving you statistics from Quality Assurance Cell. It's not my own. So we see leadership emerging, and when I see a 60% holder from MCC going out into the world of work, or a 90% holder coming from some other college, I could see the difference, how they seamlessly get enculturated into the community and they are able to quickly implement things. Though that's one thing that we are trying to improve now, number of clubs and societies. So we are trying to map the career progression for clubs, academic progressions for clubs, and for entrepreneurship progression. Keeping this framework in mind, we are trying to strategize number of clubs. Last year, 14 clubs we introduced. This year, 14 more clubs we are trying to bring in. All those clubs are properly mapped with the portfolios for higher education or for the entrepreneurship or for placement as students they like. Some of the clubs are in line with the Government of India. UGC has asked us to create electoral literacy club. So we have a charter for the club. We write the objectives, vision, mission, and then we design events carefully as per the government instruction. So this helps students to get the civic responsibility. I've been interacting with a lot of industries for developing the industry academia engagement. Most of the industries say, sir, we don't want skill, we want attitude. Because the Gen Zs come to the companies and they keep hopping. They don't stick on to a company. And we can teach them skills after inducting them into the companies, but we can't teach them attitudes which you have to teach. I think this is very valid. Kept on repeatedly receiving this from various CEOs who said we want attitude. And nowadays the talent acquisition platform has completely changed. They have go out, they'll go as a full package, having intellectual capability and the capability to make team, build a team and get into the community. So the fourth one that I'm trying to probably project before the kind of development that we are doing here is, hope you know that among 132 countries in the world, India in the Global Innovation Index, India is standing in 39th position. 132 countries. Maybe you can say Switzerland is in 4th state or 4th position or 5th position. And small countries like Germany, Singapore, and Germany also is in a very good position. Looking at the way the whole world is moving, the economy is shifting towards knowledge economy. Maybe as a chemistry professor, I cannot talk about economics here, but the way I understand is we need to create job creators rather than job seekers is a layman's language that I can try to understand. So the next phase of higher education, even yesterday I was talking to Startup Tamil Nadu, the officers, the next phase of higher education, next dispensation of higher education is moving to value creation rather than knowledge acquisition. You remember in childhood we used to recite 12 table and 16 table when uncles and aunties come home. Now the corporates say, I'll give you the table, you solve my problem. I don't want you to recite tables. I'll give you the tables, you solve my real-time problems. So the portfolio building of students now, Google and Netflix and the flank companies, they ask for real-time problems, have you solved and have you built your portfolio? So now we are moving into that particular dispensation where the whole India is having a lot of GCCs, Global Capability Centers. That's a new order in India now. So we are trying to build that kind of an ecosystem here in Innovation Park. We are trying to bring in a lot of companies. It is not so easy. Building structure is easy, but creating a culture is a challenging one that we are trying to develop. So that's a fourth one we are trying to develop. We probably, if time permits, you can also visit our MCC Boyd Tandon School of Business. That's a new vertical that we evolved, maybe 2 years old. The first batch is now getting passed from the graduation. They're approaching the graduation now. So overall, we are into a next dispensation in higher education. That's the only piece of information that I would like to pass on to you. It's a challenging one, but we take it as a pleasurable challenge. We try to press on. And coming to the appeal to the alumni, I know it's very difficult to talk to alumni because you're all busy in nostalgic moments. The appeal that I would like to make is, generally when it comes to alumni, people think that the principal would ask for money. I'm not going to do so. Over the period, you have built your network. Many of you are HNIs, high net worth individuals. What the department needs is, we want your network to be given to the department. Over the period, you have built your experience, your personality, and your experience as a professor of practice. Maybe 15 years if you have served in an industry as a professor, having some expertise which is mapped with the economics. You can come back to the institution as a professor of practice by empaneling yourself for the UGC portal. The college can help you out. We have started doing that. Only alumni can come as an honorary professor, because if I invite from industries, they would charge huge. This is a charity-based institution. We are not making money. We are a charity-based institution. So only the alumni can provide the talent and their time. Treasure is only the last one. Time, talent, and treasure is a framework that we talk. So we only want your talent and time. How many of you can come back to the institution as a professor in residence and stay with us in an honorary capacity where we'll host you in our international guest house and teach the economic students? That's very, very important. That's the need of the hour. We will monetize that, and we will try to build the department. Your knowledge can be monetized. We are in that particular dispensation now. So just an appeal to all of you that you can come back as a professor of practice, and you can build the placement, discipline-specific placement. We are now looking forward for placements. So economic students require a lot of placements. So many of the students, they are not interested in the generic placements. They don't appear for placements. Now the placement is we had only 40 placements in 2020. Now we have 750 placements against 1,000 students who ask for placements. So we are near 80-85% placement. Our highest CTC is 16.9 lakhs. We would like to move to McKinsey. We want to move to the other companies which would provide a placement at the tune of 20-25 lakhs. So that the spending power of Gen Z is very high, you understand. So we are now progressing towards discipline-specific placements, not generic placements. Deloitte is a regular recruiter for us, and we are also looking for other companies. We are making efforts. I would like to introduce the Alumni and Development Office. Ms. Srimati, you can come over here. Srimati is here in the Alumni and Development Office, which we used to call as APRO office regularly. What is added here is apart from alumni engagement, it is alumni and corporate engagement we are doing now. So what we are trying to do is, she takes care of all CSR contributions, and she has built a website separately for alumni, and the CRM, Customer Relationship Management, CRM separately. We are integrating CRM with website, so that alumni can engage with his office regularly. You can get to know more about the institution, what is happening around. So you can get in touch with Ms. Srimati. The office is the same place. You can try to get more information. You can register your names, your contact numbers, and we will be able to communicate to you regularly, and definitely you can contribute. So I'm looking for your talent and time, and there are many alumni who are helping us. Sir, can you just put up your hands? Sir is helping us with, I can probably mention about the way you and Jayant Michael sir are helping us. We have SSDA. I think many of you know that we help the blind people. So when Mr. Ravi Shankar and Mr. Jayant Michael from 1978 batch, they came into the institution, they said they want to help. He will never show his identity. Mr. Ravi Shankar was a retired HR, and Mr. Jayant Michael, who was in Doha. So they helped the SSDA with the NGO, help the Blind Foundation, which roped in Cognizant and Saint Gobain as the partners for funding. And they have set up a separate center for skill development for the blind people. And 2 years, they are completing their contract of serving us, and they'll be helping us in various other capacities. Thank you so much for your support, Mr. Ravi Shankar. It's trend setting. When it comes to the visually impaired, the pain that we see is, we used to have a culture of students accompanying visually impaired and help them out till they graduate. I see the decline. I've been seeing that for 25 years. I'm seeing that there's a decline. We don't get scribes now for writing examination. So what we are trying to now, we have validated the first phase. We have converted voice to text for the visually impaired. We asked them to speak before the computer and converted that into a script. And that script will be a paper that's submitted to the controller examination that will be evaluated. So the first validation is over. We are looking forward for building the full product and give that help to the center, so that the visually impaired will feel it easy. They don't have to require any scribes, because especially writing in French and German, sometimes we don't find the scribes. So now this voice to text, if anyone is having a capability in supporting us from various sides, technical support, we will build the product quickly and we'll be able to help the service for the students, blind students. We don't call blind, they are visually impaired or differently abled. So thank you so much, Mr. Ravi Shankar, for all your support. He sends me mails. Sometimes he scolds me also. I take it that you're not doing well. It's fine. Alumni normally they do that. So this is how they have freedom. They have freedom. They have a sense of belonging for the institution. I thank all the alumni who are contributing to the institution, and I also invite you to contribute to the college and the Department of Economics, where we need to be resilient with changing times. Wishing you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your insightful and rich address.
We now move on to one of the most anticipated moments of the morning. It is our honor to invite our chief guest, Dr. Pulapre Balakrishnan, renowned economist and educationist, to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Hello, good morning. Must first thank the organizers of this event for inviting me to be here. I would also thank the head of the department, Merlin Juliet, and the principal, Dr. Paul Wilson, for the welcome that I have been given. It's very difficult to speak at an alumni event. You're not quite certain what they expect. And I didn't have enough time to discuss this with Dr. Juliet. So I thought I'd speak a little bit about the state of the economy in India today. Yeah, and presumably that will be of some interest to you. I have a slide presentation. Take a minute for me to set it up. Please bear with me and I'll be with you. That's fine. Thanks. Can I shut it off for a while we talk? Yeah. That's fine. Okay. All right, so I have a presentation on the economy, as I mentioned. I'm not sure how much time I have. I find that I have 35 slides, but I'll try and go through them as quickly as possible so that it doesn't become too tedious for you. Once again, I want to also say that I see this as an engagement. I did emphasize that I don't see myself coming here as a chief guest. I have come here to engage with the alumni of the MCC, albeit of a certain period. All right. Now, It's often heard today that India is the fastest growing major economy in the world and that it's set to be its third largest soon. Can everybody who is interested, that is, read from where they are? Can you see the slides? Yeah? All right. You can move up if you can't and you're still interested in participating. Now, this theme of India being the fastest growing economy finds a place in the economic survey, which was presented to Parliament or in Parliament the day before yesterday. The economic survey, as you know, is a government statement of the state of the economy. And it's presented a couple of days before the budget is presented. And the budget is going to be presented tomorrow, as you know. Budgets have become a big deal in India now in a way they were not till about 25 years ago. Part of it is just showcasing the government's achievements, but part of it is also related to the fact that now policy changes are happening at a little faster pace than they used to about 25 or 30 years ago. Now, while size matters in international relations, claims of grandeur based on the size of its economy cut little ice when India's per capita income ranking was 143rd on last count, and this is known to the world. It's not as if this is private information, i.e. the world is not going to be particularly impressed by your size if it knows that the standard of living of your population is not very high in a relative scale. Besides, an economy is more than just goods, it's also people. Now, while governments blow their trumpet, what should the economists do? I thought this would be a reasonable question for us to think about, even though many of you may not be academic economists like I am. Many of you are in the corporate sector or even in the NGOs, presumably, and you all have views in the economy. So what should we do? How should we see the economy is the question. What should be at the center of our inquiry as economists? Goods or people? That is the question that I want to ask. When we concern ourselves with growth, we are primarily concerned with goods. These goods are important to us, without doubt, but nevertheless, we are in the first instance concerned with goods. This is the default preoccupation, i.e. the preoccupation with growth in economics today, but it was not always so. However, for a country, the presence of goods, whether by volume or by variety, does not necessarily reflect the condition of its people. The economy, it must be recognized as comprising goods and people. So from that point of view, we need to ask the question, what is being highlighted when we say India is soon to be the third largest economy in the world, or is now the fastest growing major economy? Progress made in economics has now made it possible for us to evaluate the progress of a country in terms of both goods and people, i.e. growth and the improvement in the lives of people. This is what I intend to do in this very brief address to you all. I shall look at India today through the lens of human development, which is an expression used in the profession, focusing on two elements understood as capabilities after the work of Amartya Sen. The two elements that contribute to the well-being of a population. These are education and health. I then evaluate the extent to which these two aspects are represented in economic policy in India by comparison with the rest of the world. Now, I want to start by just looking at education attainment using an index which is very often used, so probably the most widely used index, which is education attainment measured by average years of schooling of persons over 25. I'm taking three economies. China, which is an economy that we should be comparing ourselves with, because it's a country with which we were almost on par about 50 or 60 years ago. The United States, to some extent, the most developed economy of the world, or in some ways, and India. We see that we are not very much behind China, but we're nevertheless behind China, but considerably behind the United States in terms of the number of years of schooling a person over 25 has attained in India. 7 years, that's not very high in itself. Average years of schooling is a widely used figure globally, but it does not account for the extent of knowledge absorption or skill development. This is better served by looking at learning outcomes in a country's educational system. I only look at schools because I think they're foundational. About the university and higher education, you probably know as much as I do, and I don't really need to dwell on that. So I want to say something about learning in India's rural schools, and I want to rely on the work of a very important foundation that you may have heard of called Pratham. Pratham produces something called the Annual Status of Education Report, which is based on, in rural schools of India, which is based on a national survey. And it's extremely valuable. It's kind of interesting, the government of India, which collects data on every conceivable aspect of life in India, doesn't really provide us any evidence on the quality of schooling, of quality of learning in our schools. So here you are, you have the proportion of children in Standard 8 who can read a Standard 2 level text, and it's girls do better than boys, but it's less than 70% for boys and barely higher than 70% for girls, which means about a third of the population of India in our schools in class 8 cannot read a class 2 level text. These are tests conducted by Pratham in the states of India, and reading is measured in terms of, reading is evaluated in terms of reading in the mother tongue, not in English. So this is quite disturbing in some ways, yeah? Learning in India's schools. Now we look at the proportion of children in class in Standard 8 who can do division. Of course, the exact division that is expected of them is on the Pratham website, which you can go and check for yourself. It's not very complicated. And here you are. Less than 50% of children in class 8 can do division. Yeah? Here you are. Girls continue to do better than boys, which really also tells you how much we lose out if we don't encourage girls to continue with their education. Now, does India face a learning crisis? Well, if you look at the evidence from its rural schools, yes, it does face a learning crisis. And I think we should be careful about showing off too much about our IITs and our IIMs, or the flash new private universities you have in India, which is this, if this is the state in our schools. This is all public information. It is just that in government accounts of the economy, you do not hear it. So we see that a significant section of our early teenagers struggle with reading an elementary school text, and the majority cannot do division, at least in class 8. This divergence from East Asia cannot be more striking. Regrettably, I do not have the time to expand upon this. Why do I mention East Asia? East Asia is probably the part of the world that we should be comparing ourselves most closely with, because once again, they started out on the same level as us about 75 years ago. Now they're some of the world's richest economies. China is not one of the world's richest economies, but per capita income in China is 3 times that of India. Findings, at least 3 times that of India. Finding from the Annual Status of Education report by Pratham, of which some indicators I have shown you, show government schools performing systematically and significantly worse than private schools across the board as far as learning outcomes are concerned. Now, those who cannot afford private education will never catch up. It is impossible to catch up at later stages if your foundation is weak. Now, one of the things that strikes me when I see this data is that while the two-nation theory based on religion has finally been buried, and not a day too soon, we are staring at a two-nation reality in terms of the capabilities of the Indian population. And this is something which we should really be concerned about. We have looked at learning outcomes in India's schools. As this audience would be well aware of outcomes in higher education in India relative to the rest of the world, including China, I need not comment on this very important aspect. I just want to tell you, I think it is Reuters which did a study of where different parts of the world or different countries are in terms of their creation of knowledge in 11 technology groups. And in almost every technology group, China led. Notably, it is not a matter of China leading India. China is leading the world. So this is something which we should be concerned about when we spend so much on higher education, about which I will say something in a minute. Now, so is it all a question of money then? Well, let's look at some of the statistics. This is public spending on education in India. But once again, China, the United States, and India. And it's kind of interesting. We spend a little more than China, actually. So in terms of our capacity to spend, we're not doing so badly. Yeah? But it's kind of interesting that the United States, which people think of is a mecca of freedom, of free enterprise, spends substantially more than China and India, i.e. the government of the United States spends more. The Americans know exactly what is good for them, even though they may not give the same advice to the rest of the world. And we are completely misguided when we think that we should end all government intervention in the economy when the United States government intervenes very often quite intelligently, though that may not be a conclusion you will draw when you see recent events in China, but we are talking about the long haul. Now, what about public expenditure on education as a share of total? Here again, India doesn't do badly at all. In fact, India does better than China and the United States. A part of the total public expenditure in India is higher than in China and the United States. So it seems that it's really not a matter of money alone. There is one final aspect that I want to talk about. Interestingly, if you look at the share of spending on tertiary education, India spends more than China or the United States. So basically, this is just highlighting something we're all aware of, which is that India tends to privilege higher education over schooling. And in a situation where schooling is on such poor foundations, this is probably a completely wrong thing to do, because the input into your higher education is not as good as it should be. All right. So India is not a laggard when it comes to spending. In aggregate terms, it spends according to capacity, i.e. relative to GDP. But the spending is skewed towards its tertiary segment, i.e. higher education, while the school system remains severely underfunded. Clearly governance then is bodies such as UGC weigh heavily on India's educational system. And we cannot simply, palm it off on the British colonialists. The UGC was founded in 1956, well after India became independent. Poor outcomes in higher education when public spending privileges this sector over schooling is also a concern from the distributional point of view, i.e. public money is being spent on higher education, which benefits a few, while it should be ideally, more of it at least, should be focused on schools which cater to a much larger part of the population. Now, I've spoken a little bit about education. I want to speak a little about health, which, as I said, are the two foundational elements in human capability, or the freedom that people have to lead a meaningful life. Now, I first present a minimal set of indicators and then assess the attention health is received in India's economic policy, again in relation to the rest of the world. I'm sorry, you're probably sitting, the organizers could have done a better job. You're probably sitting a little too far away from me for you to be able to see. I have only a few slides left. So I want to be talking about health, and I want to provide you some data on the prevalence of undernourishment as a percentage of the population. This is data from the World Health Organization. Undernourishment is basically the metric which measures human capacity to act in a physical way. So here we are, China, United States, India, and the world. Undernourishment in India is much higher than the rest of the world. China, interestingly enough, does almost well as as the United States, having a very small proportion of its population which is undernourished. So undernourishment is related to food intake. Food is costly in relation to per capita income. It's difficult for you and me to even imagine this, but I want to give you an interesting statistic. The Household Consumption Expenditure Survey of 2024, HCES, shows that 50% of the rural population and 20% of India's urban population cannot afford 2 thali meals a day at the rate of rupees 30 a meal. This is a staggering statistic, and it's something which we should be reflecting upon. I've worked on that, and the exact reference is given to you. Now, I want to conclude with just 2 more slides on health. One is the prevalence of anemia among women of reproductive age, i.e. 15 to 49. We have China, the United States, India, and the world. Apart from the fact that India has a much higher percentage of anemia among women of reproductive age, it is staggering that 54% of India's women are anemic in that relevant age. Now, this has a certain significance, and what is that? I just want to say all this data is data provided by national governments to the World Bank or the WHO. It is not something which the World Bank or the WHO has collected itself. In fact, by treaty, by statute, the World Bank cannot use data other than the data provided by the government of a country. So this data is quite significant from that point of view. All right, so I just want to say, as women bear children and are uniquely positioned in the raising of children, anemia among women really is the mother of all deprivations for a country. And it's something we should seriously worry about. We talked about technology. One of the reasons why technology absorption is not as high in India as it should be, though we may have elite institutions, is precisely because children's cognitive abilities are not developed. If you have uneducated mothers or anemic mothers, it's very likely that children's cognitive skills will not be developed. So I just want to conclude with an interesting statistic, which again, a metric which comes from WHO, the World Health Organization. It stands for water, sanitation, and hygiene. I do not need to explain to you why this is very important for a population. And see here again, we have China, United States, India, and the world. Only about 50% of India's population have access to safely managed sanitation services. Yeah, this has serious implications for health and for productivity. Now, an interesting measure of the consequence of this is what you have in the last column, which has a mortality rate due to exposure to unsafe wash services, water, sanitation, and hygiene services. See, the mortality in India is twice the mortality rate in the rest of the world. China's mortality rate is only as high as that of the United States. I now turn to public spending on health. General public spending, yeah. So I just want to say, in the case of education, we saw that India spends quite well. It's not a problem of money. It's just a problem of governance. And governance is something we should worry about, because if we don't govern the system, we're just wasting money. It's just money down the drain. It doesn't have the kind of impact that we really want it to have. So governance is probably a very, very important aspect that we should think about when we think about the economy. So I just want to look at public spending on health. So government general health expenditure as percent of GDP, we have China, United States, India, the world. Here, India is certainly a laggard. It spends much, much less on health than, at least public spending on health, than the rest of the world. This is very, very significant. 1.3% of GDP, India, to 6% of GDP, the world. We're spending just about a fourth. So if the government doesn't provide these services, you have to pay for it out of your pocket. And you have statistics in out-of-pocket expenditures as percentage of current health expenditure. India spends, India's out-of-pocket expenditure is much higher than even the United States. which is interesting. Now, what is the consequence of this? The consequence of this is that it puts households in financial hardship, and therefore they have to take debt. Once they take debt, they're paying interest. If they pay interest, their demand for goods declines. Your growth declines. So all this is interrelated. Now, we look at the proportion of the population that faces hardship due to out-of-pocket health expenditure. I'm a little surprised to find that in China it's higher than India, but in absolute terms it's very high in India, and it is higher in the rest of the world. And much higher than the United States, which surprises me. I would have thought the United States is a place where there is very little public health, and so out-of-pocket expenditure, but obviously I'm wrong. There is Medicaid and Medicare and all the rest of it. But anyway, out-of-pocket expenditure does cause financial hardship to about a third of the population of India. Unlike education, therefore, India's spending on health is completely out of line with the global pattern. It is not difficult, therefore, to see what underlies the poor health indicators of this country. We know exactly where the problem lies. And exactly as in the case of education, we have a sense of where the problem lies. So we know exactly where to intervene and how to improve our health and education outcomes and improve the human development, increase or advance human development in this country. I only have a few slides left. So averages can be deceptive, though. There is a significant across-state variation spending on education in India, with some states spending more. But if we are observing the average spending, what we're observing, I've given you is average spending, some states must be spending much less also, right? And we know we have a pattern. The states of the south and the west spend more. The states of the north and the east spend less. And the consequences are there for all to see. Health outcomes are much worse in the north and the east than they are in the south and the west of this country. All right. So deprivations of health and education among Indians cannot be ended by economic growth alone, is the point that I want to make. For the past 30 years, India has been growing faster than it grew in the previous 30 years. The improvement in the lives of people, if you measure it in terms of health and education, has not been very considerable. I'm so sorry, I slipped up. Both superior public funding and purposeful governance are necessary. We have not given these aspects the importance they deserve. Unconditional cash transfers adopted by parties across the political spectrum beg the question of why we elect governments. Why do we elect governments if governments are just going to give it away to sections of the population that they choose to give it away? We elect governments to provide what are called public goods, which there is a technical description of public goods, but public goods basically mean goods which are accessible to all. And examples of that would be public health, sanitation, hygiene, right? And if governments are going to hand over this money to whom they please, then it's a bit pointless that we have elections and a democracy, right? I mean, it's something which we should be thinking about. So once again, and secondly, and very importantly, unconditional cash transfers can potentially leave a section of the population bereft of capabilities. Cash transfers crowd out expenditure on health and education by the government. I'd just like to remind you that in an unusual gesture, the government of Tamil Nadu has made some cash transfers during Pongal. May or may not be a bad thing, I don't want to go to that, but it's kind of interesting. The opposition party has immediately said that they will double it when they come to power. Now, you might think it's a good thing that some people receive cash transfers. I do think so too, but then you will not have roads and bridges and hospitals and everything else. And most importantly, government schools with minimal facilities and with superior educational outcomes. So I just want to say India was conceived of as a democracy, and economic policy and governance must be aligned with its imperatives. Yeah? The directive principles in its constitution are based on this notion, and I'd just like to remind you the directive principles of the constitution that specifically speak about the government advancing the health and educational attainments of the population. However, we need to reflect on whether the life of democracy in India adheres to these goals, i.e. the practice of democracy. It would be educative for today's youth to hear the deliberations that took place at India's founding moment, 1947. So I just want to give you the statement made at that time by the incoming Prime Minister, Nehru. And many of you may have read it. I'm not sure the younger generation would have. I think it's certainly a very clear statement about what India's goals should be. I'll linger for a minute in case you need to read it. All right? Now, it's also significant to mention that Nehru's vision for India not only remains relevant, but is also unsurpassed for its clarity of purpose. The vision is under severe challenge politically today, but in my view is the only compass for this country as she is set to navigate a turbulent world. Frankly, I see no other moral compass for India but what is said. Yeah. I repeat, I think it speaks of extraordinary clarity, or clarity of purpose, and speaks to everyone. All right, so since I have given a heavy presentation with slides, I don't think it is particularly heavy, but I'm not sure you expected that. But even though my host did not insist on it, I thought I should sing for my lunch. And so there you are. And I thought I might finish on a lighter touch. So I just want to say that Nehru's vision, which is on severe challenge politically today. And I just want to say, in my view, the situation that we're facing today with respect to visions for the country and the vision that really was prevalent till now, politically prevalent that is best summed up in the lines of a band we listened to in Tambaram in the 1970s. For those who may have reached here later, I'm sure the lines would still resonate. So give me a minute while I set up the audio, and with that I finish. And thank you very much for giving me this hearing. Is the audio working? Give me a minute. No, the audio in the, why is it? Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your wisdom and valuable words, and also for reminding us of how far India is yet to go in terms of education and health. And yes, we are truly grateful for your presence today. I now request Mr. Ravi Shankar from the batch of 1975 to 78 to speak about the Distinguished Professors Endowment Fund.
completely unused to this attention, and this is actually something that was not even thought of before this program was made. My co-conspirator, Javan Michael, about whom Professor Wilson talked about, and so thank you so much, Dr. Wilson, sent a message to Dr. Wilson and Dr. Merlin saying that, Ravi should be requested to talk about a particular initiative that we are doing, and they agreed, and that's how I'm here. It all started in a very serendipitous moment in 2022, I think, in Selayu Hall, where for some reason, I was invited as a chief guest for the holiday. And then I met Dr. Wilson there. I think he had just taken over a year ago or something. It so happened that I had supported the college's initiative in raising funds during the COVID time, running ambulances and stuff like that. So when I was sitting in the warden's house and talking to him, so he seeded two ideas in my mind. One was, we all knew that Dr. C.T. Kurian, our professor and head of department, was ailing, and so he seeded the idea that we must do an endowment in Dr. C.T. Kurian's name, which I thought was an amazing idea, and he said we must do it when CTK is alive. For various reasons, not going into it, it did not happen. Then second idea was about SSDA, reviving SSDA, which is basically an institution which takes care of disabled students, supports, educates, skills disabled students or students with special abilities within MCC. So with his support, we revived that, and a new management took over, headed by Dr. Janice as president, and a new body. So today we have a resource center within the Miller Library. I request all of you to go and visit that center. We have 17 special desktops. And we have an agreement, as Dr. Wilson said, with Help the Blind Foundation, a Hong Kong-based NGO, which provides us the material for teaching, and we have a trainer as well. So Javan and I support the salary of the trainer, and we also get involved in a few things. Apart from the two C's that Dr. Wilson said of capability and competence, I do believe that an institution like MCC especially has another C, which is compassion, which I believe is absolutely necessary. So competency, capability, and compassion really makes it us a complete institution. Back to the endowment. So, CTK unfortunately passed away, and since then, a few of us, Javan and I, and a few others, we said, now we don't want to do something specifically for one professor, considering that we had a huge number. And when we actually sat down and looked at the sum of the names, starting with Dr. J.C. Kumarappa, who was known as Gandhi's favorite economist, and to so many people. You had Raja Chellaya, you had J.C. Kumarappa, and so many others, and of course Dr. Kurian and others. So we said, let's start an endowment in the name of all the doyens who taught us in the economics department. Therefore, we started a collection to create an endowment fund in the name of these doyens. We have targeted an amount of about rupees 7 lakhs as the endowment. It was approved by the college, the principal and the senators, and therefore we have launched it. It's on the college website, the alumni website, and we have also sent it around to the economics alumni. We request your support. The interest from this endowment will go to an annual endowment lecture, where we will have a very, very well-known academic or an economist who will deliver the annual lecture. It will also support 2 scholarships for poor students who are going to do their masters in economics, apart from other activities. So I sincerely request your support. Although Dr. Wilson said we will not ask for money, I'm not asking for money, I'm asking for all your support towards this endowment. Once we create this corpus, then the interest will be, make it self-sustaining. Thank you so much. Just thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you, Dr. Wilson, for all the kind words. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, no tribute to an academic-oriented department is truly completed without acknowledging those who nurtured its growth. Hence, we now proceed to the felicitation of our retired and current professors, whose dedication and guidance have shaped generations of economists. May I request everyone to join us in honoring these pillars of our department. First, I would love to call Dr. Nagarajan, the batch of 1959 to 65, to felicitate our principal and secretary, Dr. P. Wilson.
I'll be saying only two sentences. First, I'm greatly honored to do this. The second, Principal Dr. Wilson has given a wonderful contours and the focus of the college that is going through. We all have to give you a big claps for him at least, if not standing ovation.
Now I call our chief guest, Dr. Pulapre Balakrishnan.
This time only one sentence. Normally we lost the focus of economics. We are thinking more of GDP, service, material things. But the soul of economics is improving the living of people, that is human. That Professor Pulapre, he has done it very well established, and I am specifically interested with his quotation of Pandit Nehru towards the end. Let us all give me a very big applause for that.
Now I call upon our very own retired faculty of the Department of Economics. I first call Dr. C. Selvaraj, the felicitation.
I don't know how many of you are aware of Professor E.S.S. Korean. And then E.S.S. Srinivasan. Selvaraj, when he was doing his PhD under Srinivasan, I was in Reserve Bank. And for Srinivasan, Reserve Bank means Nagaraj. So he sent him to me, and I don't know whether it could help him anything, whether he got, but then that was the first time I met him, and then he's a nice person. And I wished him all the way. And I believe he has become head of the department. Again, why don't you give a class?
Next I call upon Mr. Oliver John. Now I call upon Dr. Dureswamy. And now, Dr. Miss Jacqueline Rajabai for the felicitation. I call upon Dr. Mr. Abel Rajan for the felicitation next. Now I call upon Dr. Jacqueline Rajabai for the felicitation.
From my side, last thing, thank you all, especially the organizers, principal, for giving me the chance to facilitate a wonderful people. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I call upon Dr. Jayanti Anand to felicitate the current professors in the Department of Economics. I call upon Ms. Ruth Elizabeth Jacob to be felicitated. Dr. S. Ramakrishnan. Mr. Joshua Solomon. Dr. Steffi Christina. And our very own organizer, the head of the Department of Economics, Dr. Merlin Juliet Arultangam. Thank you, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I now request all of you to assemble in the quadrangle for a photo shoot, followed by a coffee break for 15 minutes, where you can enjoy the refreshments.
showcasing milestones in our department and the evolving journey of our beloved department.
Hi all. Hope you all having a great time. It's truly wonderful to see you all back here, walking the same corridors, sitting in the same campus, and probably reliving thousands of memories. I'm sure many of you walked in today with one big question in mind. How is our department doing now? The classrooms where you once sat, the events you once organized, the stages you once performed on. Today, it's our privilege to take you through the journey of your department as it stands today. Its growth, its energy, its achievements, and the vibrant student life. Because this department is not just ours. It's a story written by every batch that has passed through it, including all of us sitting here. So let us take you through the department spotlight, a glimpse into the heart, spirit, and progress of your very own department. So talking about the department's learning, ours is a department with a legacy of over 100 years. And in all these years, it has not just produced graduates, but economists, thinkers, policymakers, and leaders who have made a real difference to the country. Today, the department blends that strong foundation with modern learning. Our syllabus is designed to be solid in theory, but also closely connected to the real world. From the UG level onwards, students are encouraged to engage with research, and at the PG level, research becomes an important part of academic life. We also place a strong focus on quantitative skills. We have this paper called Game Theory, Econometrics, Calculus, training students in data analytics, statistics, and applied economic tools, also so that they will confident handling practical economic problems. Learning here goes beyond classrooms with internship, skill-based and employability-oriented lectures. Students are prepared for the job market. At the same time, our department supports those who aim for higher studies in India and abroad, as well as competitive exams like NET, JRF, and UPSC. So, while the years have passed and batches have changed, the mission remains the same: to shape capable, confident individuals ready to contribute meaningfully to the world. The department is not just about academics. It goes beyond classroom. Next, I invite Mauli Sharan, our department representative, to talk about our flagship events, clubs, and all. So, welcome, Mauli.
A warm welcome to each and every one of you present here. When we think back to our time in this department, it's not just the classrooms we remember, but the spaces where we found our voices, our people, and ourselves. Our clubs have always played a powerful role in shaping both the academic and cultural life of this department. Starting with the Performing Arts Club has been one such space where music, dance, theater, and open mics allowed students to express ideas freely, gain confidence, and build friendships that lasted well beyond the stage. Secondly, the Fine Arts. The Fine Arts Club complements this through visual expression. From installations for departmental events, to designing posters, backdrops, and photo booths, to curating themed displays, the club transforms economic and social ideas into compelling visuals narratives that engage the wider campus community. We also have PR Club and PRASL. The PR Club supports the department by documenting events and managing digital outreach, ensuring that academic and cultural initiatives are effectively communicated to the wider community. The PRASL, it nurtures a sense of reflection, togetherness within the department, offering students a space to pass, connect, and share beyond academics. Another important part of our department is the Reading Club. The Reading Club functions as a key academic platform of the department through exhibitions on themes such as Keynesian economics, game theory, and complexity. Students engages with economic ideas in interactive and interdisciplinary ways. A unique initiative of this club is the annual themed calendar created through student-faculty collaboration, combining research with creativity, design, and shared with alumni and distinguished visitors. Together, these clubs help students learn, create, and grow beyond textbooks. Complementing these spirits, department actively celebrates festivals such as Christmas, Onam, and Pongal. These occasions bring together students, faculty, and staff in a shared cultural space, encouraging inclusivity, mutual respect, and intercultural understanding. At last, I'll discuss about the Freshers' Day and the farewell. Freshers' Day is where new faces feel at home, and farewell is where familiar faces leave with memories. Between these two moments, our department becomes a family. With that, I invite Mr. Kaviyarsu to take this forward. Thank you.
Hi everyone. I think most of your batch wouldn't have heard a term called Artha. It's an inter-college event which is conducted by our own department. And we'll be having events like starting from literary and debate. We'll be having quiz, mock stock, IPL auction and everything. And the participants would be around 900 to 1000 plus participants. The highlight of this event is students, they themselves will divide among teams and groups and committee members. And one of the main special committee could be sponsorship. Mostly all the events would have been conducted through college funds, but this event is conducted by getting sponsorship. Students coordinate among themselves and go out to get sponsor from different businesses. And then we have our, we don't just focus on academics or just studies. We also focus on EPL, Economics Premier League. It's completely a sports event where students engage within the batches. First year may compete with second years and UG compete with PG. This is how the EPL, Economic Premier League, evolves. And we don't just stop with Economic Premier League. One of our alumni, Eri Prabhakar, he is a famous international sports player. He achieved a lot. And highlight of Eri Prabhakar is we have an endowment lecture in our department every year, which is funded by Eri Prabhakar's family. We invite speakers from outside for this endowment lecture every single year. And this year, this was his 100th birthday year. So this year we had a 2-day conference. Conference involves 2 days were conference. So this conference was also like funded from his family as celebrating like 100th year of his birthday. And also we had an other conference, which is a 2-day Vision Vikas Bharat at So after this conference and things, we don't stop with conference. We have students workshop. We had, for the past 2 years, we have been having 2 workshops. The first workshop would be ISHET, Indian Society for History of Economic Thoughts. I think most of you would have been heard about history of economic thoughts. They volunteered and we had a 5-day conference in our department and people were stayed in our international guest house, outside scholars and everyone. And we had a workshop for 5 days. And then we had a workshop related to artificial intelligence, which is an evolving platform over now, which was hosted by Dr. Dharmaraj Navanitha Krishnan. He completed his engineering and he did his master's in economics in abroad. So he came and he explained how AI is evolving and how can we integrate with AI with economics. So with this, I want to conclude my part by saying this economics department is still as glory as how it used to be. And there is no any unscrupulous elements to overcome this. And then now I invite Ronnie to continue this PPT.
Now, moving forward to something students always look forward, our department trips. These trips are all about building connections beyond classrooms. Every year, we organize one-day trips, especially to help freshers bond with seniors. We also have a 5-day trip open to all students, combining learning, travel, and lots of memories together. And this year's highlight was our visit to Goa University in Goa. For many, it wasn't just a trip, it was an experience that we'll cherish forever. Because sometimes the strongest bonds are built not just in classrooms, but on journeys we are together. Next, now, one of the most important highlights of our department, our students and their incredible achievements. Every year, our students contribute to make us proud in ways that go far beyond the classroom. In fact, It's honestly hard to fit all their accomplishment in just one slide. This year, one of our very own student, Dia Binu, achieved something truly remarkable by becoming the youngest municipal chairperson in India. It's inspiring to see a student from our department step into public leadership at such a young age and create real impact in society. Academically too, our students are reaching global platforms. Several of them have secured admissions in universities abroad, taking the department's legacy beyond national boundaries and pursuing higher studies at an international level. Our students are also actively participating in conferences and workshops at prestigious institutions, presenting papers, sharing ideas, and gaining exposure to academic spaces beyond our campus. Many have also stepped into the world of research with students' publications, adding to the department's academic strength. And achievements are not limited to academics alone. We are equally proud of our students who have excelled in sports at national and international levels, proving that talent here is diverse and well-rounded. Together, these achievements show that our students are not just learners, but champions in many fields. Before we conclude, we want to take a moment to talk about something very close to our hearts, our alumni. Over the years, many of you have come back to the department not just as visitors, but as mentors, speakers, and guides. Through interactive sessions, talks, and knowledge sharing, you continue to inspire the current generation of students. Your journeys, your experience, and words mean more to us than you can imagine. And we are especially happy to share that this year, our flagship Department Fest, Artha, will be inaugurated by our proud alumni from the 1993 batch. A beautiful reminder that even as years pass, the bond with the department never fades. So as we come to the end of this department spotlight, as Kaviyarasu mentioned, many of you believe that the department's most glorious days were during your time, but we are here to report that the glory is still remain the same. Thank you for being part of our past, present, and future. Thank you, everyone.
I thank the Cabinet for highlighting the salient points of our department. Now, we invite you to a journey through time with the Department of Economics as we present a heartfelt documentary that celebrates its legacy, honors its growth, and cherishes the moments that have touched our hearts and shaped countless lives. We have with us a documentary to be presented right now.
until we get a documentary together, there are some questions we would like to ask alumni because, of course, you've been back here after so long. And there are some very basic but I hope relatable questions to all of you. Something that we have been meaning to ask you is, what was, according to you, your favorite MCC spot? Would anybody like to answer? We have the mic.
Whoever wants to answer.
Someone said McPhail's, I think. Yes, yes.
I think my favorite spot would be the. My name is Noel Raveen, batch of 1993. So I think I'd speak on behalf of my friend Ajay Karthik as well. Our favorite spot would be the road that leads to the farm, between Heber and the farm. Very exciting spot back then.
Anybody else?
Hello. Probably I'm coming from the law. Hello. Maybe I am the oldest person. I'm batch also the first batch among the available. 1959 and 265. Okay. My favorite spot. I'm St. Thomasian. My favorite was is vegetarian table in St. Thomas's Hall's mess.
Thank you, sir.
Would anyone else of you would like to answer the question? Give us a small reason.
Hi, I'm Jayanti from 77, 78 to 80, 81, 82, sorry. And our favorite spot is near the entrance where, you know, we used to have that bougainvillea, yellow flowers and all. And then there's a gutter there, both the sides. So we all used to sit there and have our favorite, spot there.
Hello. Yeah, the favorite spot, I think most of them, it was the gutters. That's the time, because most of us used to bunk classes and not know what to do. So that was the best place to meet and, chat.
Anyone else would like to go?
Anyone else?
Can I go on to the next question? I want to ask, it's a very curious question that I have. What is that one moment in your life, in your career, or in your personal life where you've been the most proud being an MCCN?
Anybody?
So, hi, this is Alfred. So, the moment I felt proud being an MCCN is when I was flying from Abu Dhabi to Chennai, and there was a 72-year-old man next to me, and his name is Mr. Hariharan. And I was just talking with him, and I was chatting with him. I think he lives in Minneapolis, I'm not sure. Yeah. He lives in United States, and I was just having a conversation with him. And he ended up being an MCCN, which was so random. And I went to his house, and I met with him. He lives in Avadi. He has a house in Avadi. So at the time, we're just having a random stranger. He was a completely random stranger. And I was talking with him. I was talking a lot and where he lives, and he asked me what I'm doing. And I said I study in MCC, Tambaram. And he's like, oh, you're an MCCN? Yes, sir, I'm an MCCN. And he said, I'm an MCCN. And after that, he started to talking like Macha Mama and all with me. And it was an amazing bond which happened, that time. That time I felt really proud to be an MCCN.
Would anyone else like to answer?
Guys asked for favorite spots, but some of us, one of first 83 batch. We tell you some places that probably the current generation may not know. Johnny's, Sundarams, Singhs, Muthus, all of them outside the campus.
Great one, sir. And if I might add, we are from the class of 1983. During that time, it was prohibition in Chennai. You never got beer, you never got alcohol. And all these institutions sourced it bulk from the IAF station next door and sold it to us at inflated prices. So that's another memory that we have of our time here in MCC.
These guys used to get it for 7 rupees from IAF, used to sell us for 15 rupees.
Any other answers?
Hello everybody. I'm Dhanlakshmi. I passed out in 2001. When I was studying, I got married during my second year. That was very difficult to, look after my family as well as my studies. But my HOD sir, Selvaraj sir, helped me much, and I completed my degree in 2001 itself. Adeline ma'am, Jacqueline ma'am, then Suganti ma'am, Durasamy sir, Merlin ma'am, they were my professors. I did my job well, and currently I'm working as a board controller in Chennai division, Southern Railway. I feel very proud. Whenever I say I'm an MCCN, my colleagues, my relatives, they say very proud. And I'm very, very proud that I am educated in MCC College in 2001. But the thing is, I didn't enjoy much because I got married during my college days. But I feel now also very proud that I studied in MCC College. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my sir. And I didn't drop out. I want to do my civil service, but I tried it. More probably, I got only job in railways, and I'm very satisfied. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Okay, shall we move on to the next question then? This is something where I need everyone to raise their hands if you have gone through the situation, because I think we personally have been through this. How many of you have actually gotten lost inside of MCC? Nobody has gotten lost inside MCC. Oh, I can see one hand.
Any stories? Because we were talking to an alumni.
So I am Joseph Durai, part-time PhD student under Professor Dicky Sams. So I was lost in the main building because we used to work in the night for PhD work. One day at night, 9:30 to 10, I was returning to the railway station. Suddenly, the entire power failed throughout Chennai city. I didn't know where to go. I was moving from statistics department towards the main gate. So inside the main building, I was unable to move out. So I now remember my professor guide, Professor Dicky Sams, for all the effort for my PhD. And he used to entertain me. I was doing under part-time. So he was available to my time. Whenever I was free in the evening, late night, he will come and sit in the department and work with us. Thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you, sir.
More than me getting lost in MC, I'd like to tell you a story which I heard, which was much before our time. I think all of you will be knowing that Miller statue here, which is affixed to a stone. I heard of this thing. This was much before my time. It was earlier not affixed to the stone. It was kept aloof, it seems. So the residents of this campus used to go take that statue, hide it somewhere in the bushes, and place on white paper folded very nicely on the stone. When that letter was opened, it was addressed to the principal of the college saying, "Sir, I'm William Miller, I'm lost in the college." And then they had to search for that statue, and now that's the reason it's being affixed to a stone here. I thought of sharing this.
Any other answers of any places, any stories that you have that you got lost in MCC? Can we move on to the next question? So, again, a curious question from my side to the alumni. What is it one thing that you came to MCC? Because we are the present batch of MCC, and there is a lot of things that has changed by the time you have gone. So, when you come back to MCC, to your dearest college, to your alma mater, what do you think that one thing that has changed, one thing that MCC has transitioned from when you come back? Anything that you feel that MCC has changed from? It can be anything.
I think we had less number of students when we were studying, because we had only days college. Now we have evening, and I mean, I think it has gone 3 to 4 folds. That's one thing I've noticed. The other thing is, when we want accommodation for our immediate relatives, hostel accommodation is not given for the day scholars. Only first preference is that's one thing which I've noticed. Which I've seen in the hostel are the same. The aura, the ambience, everything is the same. I just don't see anything. And the most significant thing in the room, we still don't have fans. We were without fans. During those days, even right now, still no fans. We used to, in summer, either had to buy a fan if you could afford, or take it on hire. I don't know how it is now. How is it now? Okay, if you can afford. You can't afford. Hire, for monthly hire, cable fans.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, one thing that has changed certainly is the number of women. In our days, we had to travel all the way to WCC or Stella to, to have a date. Okay? Now you guys don't have to. So this is one big, big change. I mean, the struggle that we had getting onto a bus, getting onto a train, getting off at Saidapet, going to Etiraj or College Road. You don't have to do all that now. Another thing that have changed, I find the halls have dramatically different. I mean, some of my best years of my life was spent in Salayo. And, that was amazing 3 years, full of freedom. I'm not sure it remains the same again, even now. I mean, when I speak to the cabinet now and all that, I find them more, I don't know, that kind of, that freedom and that expression, not so much. I told them, be delighted. Look at the number of women around you. I mean, come on, man. Huh? You are so different from us, but somehow I don't find that same mahal in the college, in the halls as before.
Check. Actually, nothing will change in MCC even after 50 years. But 2 noticeable changes: air coolers in Anderson Hall and air conditioned Bishop Eber Chapel.
Other significant significant changes. During our time, we used to have 4 days of compulsory ragging, which you guys are missing. Actually, you're missing. Okay, it might be against the, the law, fine, but it was very significant and it was absolutely fantastic, of course. Now we don't have that privilege. Or do you do it outside without someone's knowledge? Yeah, in the hall, that's what. In the hall is not allowed, officially not allowed. Earlier it was officially allowed. And after that, the seniors used to throw a party for us, for the juniors, introduce themselves. You don't have the ceremony. You used to have that as a... Okay, so that's one thing which you guys are missing. And the freedom in the hall. We used to have all the freedom. I don't know how it is now. You still do have? Or restricted, yes. That's what I've heard from a lot of students, that they don't have that kind of a freedom which you have. That's another thing.
This is Akshay, 2004 to 2011 batch. And 2004, 2005, Artha used to be in Tamil Nadu, all colleges used to be coming. We invited all colleges, but in 2008, we were the first batch. We united all the India economics students. They came over here and we did Artha that time. It was a grand success at that time. That was the best moment at that time.
Can I move on to an exciting question next? Any love stories in the department or in the hall? Any story that you'd like to share?
Matter, sir.
Which might give a motivation to your juniors.
Let somebody start.
Can we have your story, please?
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is John Vijay. I've been part of MCC Economics Department, and after 32 years, I gave my darling a bouquet of flowers. Amrita Christabel Vinoli, everybody clap for her. She is feeling very shy. She said she's going to give it to her husband, and I'm sure that he's going to be very happy too. So I've asked her for a walk around MCC wherever we have walked around, and she's feeling very shy and she's blushing. I still remember the water tank. And RSU used to follow us. I don't know why, but still. So it's a great feeling to be in MCC again, and it's wonderful. Nice to meet all of you. A reunion and wonderful reunion. Thank you very much.
Before moving on with the other love stories, how many of you got your partners here? Raise your hands. How many of you got your partners in MCC or in Department of Economics? In MCC. Okay.
Any more stories? Any more love stories?
My friend was asking if he can report lost and found, because he got his girlfriend here and he lost her also. That's why he's asking. You want to talk there?
Anybody else?
Would anyone like to share their love stories here with us before we move on to the next question? You can nominate your friends as well, honestly. I see hands on my left.
it was a lost and found case. So I was in Thomas's. Earlier lecture session wouldn't be like economics when people come there. So when we invite alumni, they'll be like full on what are the shits that they did in college, how many love stories. So I was inspired. I'm gonna get someone before I leave this college. Turns out I just learned Malayalam. That's a takeaway that I have.
Anyone else? Okay guys, most of you would have had life partners over here, but I think many stories would have had about love failures also over here. Okay, but unfortunately nobody picked up hand. Because I also had one, but unfortunately in economics language, it never materialized, we would say. Okay, so I had it in 1996. Unfortunately, she didn't come, but she's married now. So that was my first love, which I saw over here. But for the juniors, don't miss your chance. That's what I would like to say. Keep it up this way.
Thank you, sir. We'll consider that. Moving on to the next question. You know, when we first were admitted into MCC, something we commonly saw around in social media is how one of Chennai's most haunted places happens to also be MCC. So we wanted to ask from, of course, the alumni themselves, if you have any ghost stories to share with us. One example I can give you, I think you might have heard, we have a Heber Martin story going on. With Rose and another person. So we don't it's said that we don't have fans in our halls because of the suicide, almost Romeo Juliet like story that happened. So we wanted to ask you as well if you have any stories you could share with us possibly.
I just have read about it, but I never knew about it. We were too high to know all this stuff. What would disturb us?
Thank you so much everyone for answering our questions. That was interesting. And yes, please give yourselves a big round of applause. Now we move on to something we've been wanting to show you, the documentary we were talking about earlier. So yes, please. before we end everything or come to a formal closing, of course, we can't leave you without asking you questions because if anything, you know more than us. Therefore, we have some questions prepared, very basic MCC facts, but we want to see how much you remember of all this. So one of the first questions we would like to ask you is, who is known as the founder of Madras Christian College?
Founder
So
of
please.
MCC?
Reverend Anderson.
Reverend John Anderson, yes. Next question.
What is the full form of QSC? The QSC building that we see near the library, what is the full form of QSC?
Is anyone aware about the full form of QSC building?
Full form of QSC?
Quarter septucentennial.
Yes, that's right. Okay, moving on to the next question. When did the Great Migration take place? Yes, that's right. 1837. Sorry, 1937. And our next question is,
When was Martin Hall established for all the Romeos out there?
$1990.
19?
Okay, Martin Hall was named as Martin Hall in 1990 and it was built in 1968 as women's residence.
Yes, thank you. What is MCC's motto? You must know this. Can you be louder, please?
What is MCC's motto?
Yes, okay. I think a lot of you know this one. In hoc signo. And the next one.
What is the area in front of Miller statue called? What's the name of the area?
You were just there before actually for the photo session.
You were there for the photo session. What is that area called as?
This is the area where Deep Woods popularly happens. So you know every answer, I think. What's your name, sir? He answered it right again. It's Quadrangle.
Quadrangle.
That's the area where the photo session happened. And next question is, who was the first principal after the Great Migration in 1937?
Reverend Boyd.
Alexander J. Boyd. Thank you, sir. And next question we have is,
What is the canteen called as?
No, not really. Yes.
Student Center is the right
Yes,
answer.
Student Center is the right answer. What is the recent movie that was shot featuring MCC? You must know this one. Louder, please. That's true. Amaran is the movie. And our last question to you.
Who was the last Scottish principal of MCC?
That's true. They got it right again. Reverend Dr. J.R. McPhail.
Yes.
That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for answering. And 1 minute.
I don't know how many of you are aware that one of the MCC, I don't know whether you want to call it a motto or anything, is they are slaves who dare not be in the right with 2 or 3. Most people have forgotten that. It's taken from a Scottish poem called Freedom. It says, you are a slave if you dare not be in the right with 2 or 3. That means even if you are in a minority, speak up. That's what it means. That used to be the main motto of MCC.
So, as we all know, MCCNs travel far and wide. They're worldwide. Some cannot make it, unfortunately. That's why they joined us in Zoom. And a few of them are willing to share their experiences and they want to reminisce on the memories that we have in MCC. So, uh, first joining us will be we apologize for the delay. There has been some technical difficulties because of which we can't hear from the MCCNs online. So we move to the end of the program. Now I would, as we near the conclusion of the formal session, I invite Mrs. Ruby Celia Batliwala of the 1992-93 batch to deliver the word of thanks.
I won't take much of your time, but I would like to thank everyone. So please bear with me if I miss out anybody. Very good afternoon. We are trying to end the first half of the wonderful nostalgic afternoon, and I'm honored to have the vote of thanks being delivered to you all on behalf of the organizing committee, of the alumni of the Economics Department Reunion 2026. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the chief guest, he's not here, Mr. Balakrishnan, for his presence and inspiring us with the facts and data of the Indian economy in comparison to the other economies like China and the United States. He is a distinguished alumnus of our economics department. He's from the 71-75 batch. Sir, your presence had made this event even more special, and we appreciate your contribution towards making the Alumni Meet a success. Secondly, I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Wilson, for his approval and guidance in organizing the reunion, and also the college management, who have been instrumental in fostering a strong bond between the alumni and the institution. Thank you, sir, for your visionary leadership and dedication. Thirdly, I would like to thank all our esteemed faculties and mentors who had shaped our past and because of whom we are what we are today. You took the time to join us, and your presence means the world. With full reverence, I thank our chaplain, Reverend John Prasad, and the prayer cell students for spending and spreading the serenity in the Anderson Hall. Your prayers and song had grounded us in a gratitude and togetherness, reminding us of our friendship, memories, and bond that we shall continue to share. Next, a massive thanks to all the alumni who took out time from your busy schedules, traveled from near and far to be here to attend the Economics Reunion 2026. You are the pride and glory of our institution, and we are delighted to see you here. You have made MCC, especially the Department of Economics, proud with your achievements and accomplishments in various fields and domains. You reloaded our memories by sharing stories that had made the reunion truly special. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to the organizing committee and volunteers who worked tirelessly behind the screen, planning, organizing, managing logistics to make this event seamless and memorable. A big shout out to Dr. Merlin Juliet, Head of Department of Economics, who led us from the front, from the start to the end. I would like to extend our sincere thanks to the Visual Communication Department students for the videography, photography, and live streaming of this reunion, thereby capturing the emotions, laughter, and memories, and allowing the alumni across the globe to be a part of this celebration even from afar. Your creativity and professionalism are not going to be just memories, but lasting keepsakes, which will be cherished for years to come. Thanks for your dedication and support for making the reunion truly memorable. A big, big thanks to the electrical and audio team for the uninterrupted power and clarity. This and also the housekeeping staff for the clean and welcoming campus and hall. Though much of your efforts happen quietly, the impact is deep within all of us. A big shout out to our vendors, the college canteen for the delicious refreshment. We have some more to come in the evening. For the quality of food and timely service, your warm cooperation added great comfort and enjoyment to our gathering. We truly appreciate your support. 9 to 9 Mart, the t-shirt suppliers, for the excellent quality, design, and timely delivery, thereby making our photo session special. QAF Fashions, the cross leather bag supplier, for providing the beautifully crafted memento bag with the logo for this reunion. The quality, design, and timely delivery added a meaningful and lasting touch to our celebration. Ian Tasty, food supplier for the delicious lunch, which you all are going to have shortly. The aromas lingering in the air. I'm not going to hold you all. For sure, you all are going to enjoy the lunch. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the guests, young and old, of all ages, who have honored us with their presence today. Your presence has added value and prestige to this reunion, and we are grateful to your time and attention. We still have a lot of story for the day. Lunch, culturals, campus walk, but I'm forced to deliver the vote of thanks now because we are close to nature where I cannot have a mic to give the vote of thanks. So once again, thank you all for making the day a resounding success. Let's carry the renewed memories forward. Safe travel home, everyone, and hope to see you in the next reunion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So we come to the conclusion of our formal event, and now we request everyone to please proceed towards the International Guest House for lunch. Thank you, everyone.